Momentary technical glitches because um, we're kind of slow on the uptake with that kind of stuff. But we do we do appreciate you standing by. Hey, happy Pizza Friday! Happy Friday! Happy Pizza Friday! So glad you could join us here today. This is so exciting because we had so much fun when we did the first, you know, watch TMNT with me with the first movie. That was so much fun, and just getting a chance to see this. Oh no, he's here.
Hey.
All hail! All the
What's
timing's
up,
perfect.
bro?
Oh, it's so nice to see you, Ernie. How are
Great
you?
to meet you too, man. Hanging in there.
Hanging in? Good, good.
Yeah,
Yeah, we're doing the same. Your family's lovely and awesome as always.
thank you. Yeah, everyone's doing good, man. Just just hanging tough during these crazy times.
Yes, yeah. No, it is. It's funny. It's like we're very lucky in that speaking for myself is that Corey and I and our family we get to work at home most of the time, whether we're writing and drawing and doing whatever. But it's like so we're sort of blessed that we get to be home and we get to spend more time with our son and do all this kind of social distancing. But it's been an interesting transition because we're still we don't get to we do a lot of conventions and tours, and so we don't get to get out there and see the fans like we used to and that kind
Yeah.
of stuff. And
Well,
but we missed
hopefully
it.
it blows over sometime soon.
Yes, and we're all going to come out of this bigger, stronger, hopefully
Yes.
not fatter.
Yeah.
I've been eating a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. Hey, that's the go-to.
well, this was great. So, we did the watch TMNT with me with the first Turtle movie, which was an absolute blast, and so many fans joined us, and it was a treat to do this to do it. And what's really cool because we wanted to do more pending the response to the whole thing, but it was great that you and I have done this before a couple
Yeah.
times. We've actually sat in front of a live audience, watched these movies, and
Yeah.
got to do anecdotes and talk about them and panels after, which is great because I love telling the story that a lot of people don't realize you got to be, fortunately for us, you get to be Donatello in the first movie, sort of under the costume, but fortunately the producers are smart and everybody was smart. We brought you out in front of the camera for the second one, so this is great.
Yeah. Well,
So
I'm excited to be able to. I was thinking today, I was like, man, all that time has passed by. It's really just unbelievable to me.
well, I keep saying people say that they tell me I look good, and I said, well, I just look heavier. You look really good, so because we're both from Hollywood, we can say we've had a lot of work done with a lot of special effects
Yeah. Yeah,
and things
exactly.
like that. But no, I'm glad you wanted because we wanted to bring you in as a surprise initially, but then I wanted to let everybody know that you're going to be joining us, and so we've been waiting to start the film, so we're going to start it now, and so you and I can talk over this, and I think there'll be some fan questions that come up, but
Okay.
because you're in this puppy right from the word go, so I wanted you to be here. So
It'll be fun.
roll 'em.
All right. Awesome.
Oh man,
So now, what is everyone watch when they're watching right now? Are they seeing us and the movie?
yes, that's my technical advisor, which is my wife, which um, she's amazing and figuring all this stuff out. But yeah, they're seeing sort of me and the film, like everybody eating pizza, and they're seeing you as well. So
Oh,
that's
cool.
good. So if you need to leave to use the restroom or don't pick your nose or do anything, no, crazy. How old were you when you did this movie? Because this movie, let me see, movie one came out in 1990. This was right away in 1991. Um,
Yep. I
so you
was
were like
18,
19,
19.
18. Whoa, that's so
Yeah.
crazy.
I was let's see. So in the first movie, I was a junior. It was the summer between my junior and senior year of high school,
Oh my
and then
goodness,
the following summer, I just graduated, and then we were filming the second one.
that's awesome. What's great? There he is. Look at that
Yeah,
hair.
yeah,
Probably way back
yeah.
in the
That
day when
hair
we,
was something else.
when we
I wish
back
I
when we
could
both.
get that hair back.
Oh, that's so awesome.
Yeah, that was fun. We when we shot this stuff here in New York, I think I was there for about a week or so, and
Awesome.
it was fun. Because we had done most of the filming in Wilmington, the first go around, and then the second go around, and so it was kind of cool to be in New York, filming a few of those scenes.
because
I remember that. Yeah.
well, they increased the budget for the second one, which is great. I think it was all due to your salary, I'm sure.
Yeah.
No, but no, I think it was more for the locations and all that stuff, which is really fantastic. Because I remember, like, I went down to the set in Wilmington a couple times for both films, and man, it gets really warm down there.
Oh yeah.
110% humidity and all that. So, oh wait, so we my wife Courtney just pointed out that we can answer questions as we go through this. But we have to wait. This is a really exciting action sequence, so we have to.
Yeah, I'll have to. Yeah, this was cool too. We really had a lot of fun in choreographing the fight stuff. We really had a nice, just kind of. Pat Johnson, who's the stunt coordinator, really gave us a good amount of just kind of free reign to come up with ideas. Of course, kind of would go through, him, and he'd approve of stuff, but really got to choreograph a lot of the stuff, and a lot of great local guys too. There's a lot of guys from the immediate area in Wilmington, stunt guys, martial arts guys. So it was fun. We had a great time.
Well, no, that's what's so fantastic is because this was nothing new to you. Certainly, choreographing when you did sidekicks and you did like so many other martial arts stuff you've done, especially your ongoing life training in martial arts. So but being able to choreograph, and Pat I think stayed was Pat Johnson, right? He stayed through all three films. Yep. But he was I think one of those guys that if you had great actors like yourself, a great Jim, and could make a scene work, because there's so many moving parts to a scene where you have to have great stuntmen to really make it connect and work and make the stuff believable. And after multiple takes, and I always even looking back to the first movie where you were inside the costume, it's amazing. You can do them as a person without a costume, but back when you were doing Donatello in the first movie, you're wearing 80 pounds of 80 pounds of rubber and latex, and still doing some of those scenes, some of those stunts and some of those stuff, which was amazing.
It was and even the first go around, all the stunt guys, well, the turtle stunt guys were from Hong Kong, except for myself. Right. And then the second go around, we had American stunt guys in the turtles costumes. But even both movies, the stunt guys were really just awesome. There was a lot of character work that had to come across in the fights, especially being in the costumes. It's like if you weren't performing the life of the character while you're doing the action, then it was kind of just looking a little silly. You really had to go for it and really try to bring those characters to life while you're doing the physical motion. And I think that when I'm watching here, it's like the first and second guys, but in particular these movies, those guys are doing great stuff there in the midst of doing the kicks and the punches and the choreography. There's a lot of just life of the character coming through. I think they did awesome.
No, it's great because it looks like and I know it's all edited together, but it looks so seamless right now. It's like when you sort of choreograph a scene, especially, it's like, was this shot in New York or was this shot in Wilmington?
This was
in Wilmington. So it's a set designed to do stuff, but it seems just very fluid that the camera seems to be moving with you guys, wonderfully, and that's how you could make it pull it off.
Yeah, there was so much technical stuff going on, on the, when we were actually shooting. There was just so many things going on, and so many people that were, had to be responsible for one turtle. But then when you watch it, it's all, like you said, it's all seamless. It all just seems to work,
Did you have to, back in the first movie, before you look at this, you still have that jacket? You know how many fans would go crazy for that jacket right now?
Yeah, the Kino Pizza jacket there.
I love it. No, and you did the first movie. Were you one of the ones that did you do a lot of the acting stuff where you had like the animatronics inside your head clicking and going off when you did that, or were you mostly stunts?
Yeah, just mostly the stunt. All my stuff was really with the
Yeah,
stunt head,
God.
and there was no real computer in the back or anything like that. It's still a
That-
lot of weight, you know.
oh my God, yeah, that's epic. That's crazy. No, I'm just thinking, oh man, I look at it's funny as I look at pictures of you now because I've known you for so many years and we've done so many different events together. And we get to hang out and stuff, and I look at this stuff. It's like it does. I guess we're getting old when we look back and go like, I remember that guy. No,
Gosh, I
that's
know.
pretty awesome.
I was thinking about it as I was driving today. I was like, man, how much 30 years? Wow, I can't even believe that. It's like you're a teenager and then you're not. It's like,
Yeah, yeah. But it's and this was because we switched Aprils from
right.
the first movie to the second movie. So this was Paige Turco, who I think she was a soap opera actress, and I know that we all love Judith Hogue, and she did such a wonderful job as the original April. So when Paige came in, and she did the second movie and the third movie, I think. So that was a interesting transition. But I think still, I think most of the fans were used to the cartoon series overall, so it was sort of like they knew the pieces and the components, but it was
Yeah.
interesting. But this is it's still funny because some of this the basis and the foundation, because Peter and I worked with Todd Langdon again, who wrote the first script, who did such a fantastic job, and
Mm.
Steve Barron was such a wonderful director for the first film, but they really played wonderfully off some of the things that were set up in the first movie, so that the turtles are still stuck in April's apartment, and there was still so it's just sort of interesting, having been in New York and have seen small New York City apartments, have a person with four turtles living with you as well. That's gonna
Yeah.
be well, this was great. It was pretty clever, and I think that's still. It's like I look at that apartment and I go like, that's like when you look at the Friends apartment, you go like, man, I wonder how much an apartment like that in New York would cost, even in
Yeah.
yeah,
That's a pretty nice apartment.
yeah. But who's and help me with this, but I know we had Leaf Tilden. Who were the other some of the guys that were playing in the costumes for some of the acting scenes here? Do you remember?
Yeah, so Leave Tilden. Let's see. I know there was Sasha that played the Michelangelo. Um, and then let's see. I mean, like they said, there was kind of multiple people that I remember, like per turtle. Um,
See, the same thing for me because I remember because they were different from you had the voice guys too, because the voice guys were different from the guys that were
yes.
doing the costume stuff, and so it was uh,
Now, did they change the voices from the first to second?
they did. I think they did because even Corey Feldman was Donatello in the first one, and they switched it out for that. But I was just noticing as I'm watching it, it's really neat that the animatronics definitely the facial movements and everything that they had developed for the first movie are so much more in tune because again being on set for the first movie and the second movie that they were always having technical difficulties even in Wilmington, like the airplanes that would go over, they would have some glitch that it would pick up radio control signatures and you have a mouth going off
Yeah.
crazy and reacting weirdly. But the puppetry was, so much of it was invented, in and around what they did with that first movie. But
Yeah, that was amazing. You could just tell, like being on the set, at the time. I mean, it just seemed like it was so kind of groundbreaking, especially in the first movie.
yeah,
But you knew just by watching, you're like, wow, it just looks really great. Even though
yeah.
there's like 10 people around each turtle, like trying to make it happen. It's like what you see in the shot just looks awesome. Jim Henson's just incredible.
Oh, that's a great Michelle Ivy, who's one of our main turtle fans. Is Donatello was Leaf Tilden in the main suit. Stephen Ho did the action scenes, and his voice was Adam Carl. So um, that's why we have turtle super fans who help make sure we know the facts
Yes.
because we lived it. Doesn't mean we can necessarily remember all of that. But I think Kevin Clash was still Splinter in this as
Yep.
well, which was such
Yeah.
I was so glad because we all mourned the loss of the the genius of Jim Henson in the first movie at the end of the first movie, and we're just lucky that the Creature Shop came back with all the talents and skills, and of course Brian Henson, who was second unit in the first movie, and so many of those people came back was great because it was the thing that you just mentioned is like there was so many people that worked to make that one 30 seconds of acting work and each of the stuff that I always felt that it was amazing that any movie came out good ever, let alone our movie. And I know that if the turtles weren't believable, if we couldn't pull the turtles off, not only the acting, which is even more important than the martial arts, that it never would have worked. And so it's like
Yeah.
that's that's something.
You know what's so cool too is like it holds up. That's the great thing about it. It's like when you watch the movie, a lot of times you can watch these movies from the late '80s, '90s, and then you go back and you're like, ooh man. But this movie really they really hold up. I think they really hold up against the test of time. Like, hey, it's still super cool. Like 30 years later.
Yep. No, you're right. It's like I think that was what was so cool. I talked about. I think there were a couple of screenings together in Arizona when we saw it for the first time on the big screen again together. It was that moment that you say, "This really holds up," and you try not to be biased. That we've had so much
Yeah.
advancements in special effects, but it's like, but oh, here's the big moment.
Yeah.
Actually, there's a funny question we just had pop up from Thaddeus Manning. Question for Ernie: what pizza toppings do you like on your pizza?
I've been going veggie a little bit lately, to tell you the truth.
Awesome.
Good veggie pizza, veggie pesto. But yeah, that's what I've been rocking with lately.
No, I just like it's funny because I get asked that a lot. So definitely we do. Oh, he's back.
Yeah.
Um, um, is our family favorite pizza is based on Courtney's dad, Greg. He likes Hawaiian pizza, so it's ham and pineapple, but he covers it with jalapenos. So it's a very sort of sweet and sour, and with a little bit of spice
I
to
can
it.
have
So
that.
it's good. This guy was great. Did you? I mean, my understanding is just I don't know personally was the actor, and forgive me, I forgot his name at the second, but he didn't speak any English at all. Is that correct? Do you
No,
remember?
and he's a martial arts guy, from my understanding. Yeah,
Yeah.
he was awesome. He just like, yeah, you didn't know what he was saying, but he had that presence, the power presence.
Oh, he was scary bad. Like holy shnikey. He was like,
Yeah.
but I think one of the Steve Barron had told me once that they would sort of speak the words to him phonetically, and he would do it because. But in the martial arts fronts, it was like um, he was sort of like, I wish we could have unleashed him sometimes because he was like
Yeah.
insane. Oh, we got a great question
Nope.
from. Go ahead.
Oh, just saying. I remember like seeing the first time the interior of the like the Foot Clan hangout,
Yep.
and I was like, wow, this really was cool. And that's where you can kind of see like you said, the scale had kind of, some of the set designs were like had gone up, and you're like, oh, this is cool. But I remember that clearly, seeing that they really created that world where you didn't know, even though you knew they were bad, like kids getting roped into stuff, you're still kind of like, hey, I kind of would like to hang out here myself. You know?
Yeah, yeah. When you weren't on, when you weren't on duty or acting, you could sort of hang out there. So we had a great, it's funny question from, and actually I was curious too. And Casey Wilson asked a few minutes ago, is like, do you have any projects coming up that you want to talk about, or is it a?
Yeah, I mean, there's always stuff in the works. You know how that goes. A
Yeah.
lot of stuff that's just you've been working on for 10 years, and it's like, things get, actually, before all of this happened, there were some things that were starting to actually finally, get some traction. You're like, all right, this is good. This is moving along. And then it's like screeching halt, timeout. We'll get back to you in a couple years.
No,
So
that's
it's
what we
kind
talked
of
about. I
just
think
a
one of the
matter of time.
last time we saw you in person, you were directing a music video, and before that, I know you
Yeah.
had a couple projects teed up, and I think everything is so exactly everything sort
Yeah,
of.
I directed a music video for Wiz Khalifa, and that went really cool. Plan on doing some more of that, and then I've been working had the opportunity to work with Nate Diaz for his last couple fights in the UFC. So I've been doing a little bit more of that, like working and training with UFC and Bellator fighters.
That's
Um,
awesome.
and then, like I said, just the same things going on and on and on, just kind of like trying to hang in there and keep the dream alive. So, um,
Yeah.
but
No,
yeah,
it's
there's
got to
always a
be.
lot of good stuff. I mean, I honestly do feel like I've gone through lots of different times over the last 30 years. From kind of the pinnacle of like the Turtles, and then just the aftermath of all of that for decades. But I do have to say that it's cool to see things come back full circle. And then just from just my own personal experience, just where we're at right now, even though it's kind of a strange time, I do feel like it's a good time and things are changing. I do believe for the better for people like us creatives, where, the old system is kind of changing, and there's so many different ways you can get projects done, and so many different platforms to reach your viewers. So I don't know. I just think that it's a good time right now.
No, I agree because it's been it's like you. It's like we've been lucky enough to keep in touch over the years, and we watch different things, sort of ebb and flow, and from different from some of the stuff that you've acted in, some of the stuff you directed. I remember you did the great scene with the Rock and like with the Runaway, and so it's sort of like, but you've always been, to me, it's like. Just in our conversations, you've loved the behind the camera sort of stuff. Not like you know the martial arts, you know the stuff, you know how to choreograph, but you have the vision to sort of direct scenes and stage fight scenes and do some of the more creative stuff behind it, which is great. And I think that's what's a fantastic time, because I, like you, is I had projects I've been working on for 10 years and have not moved one single inch in 10 years, and then suddenly they seem to be sort of edging a bit forward, which is
Yeah.
cool. I mean, we don't know where it'll end up, but it's funny that you know, do you? Yeah, it's like, oh, yeah, they're cool. He can hang on as long as he wants, but it's like it's up to him. But no, it's like we're looking for because we're ordering some pizza and stuff. So no, Courtney was just saying that it's like we're gonna abuse your time as much as you want to hang out with us. So, but if you need to jump, don't be shy to do it. But if you want to
No,
hang out
I'm
with us,
hanging here with you guys unless my phone runs out.
if you
That's
if you
that's
phone
the
runs,
only thing that's gonna pull me away. So if we're here having a conversation, all of a sudden I disappear, it will only because my phone died. But I think I should be able to make it.
okay, good. That's cool. No, just making sure, it's like we appreciate, because this, it's just we're talking about whether it be projects moving forward. It's like, I never imagined in a million years, I'd be sitting here in my living room, you know,
Yeah,
watching a turtle movie with my old friend Ernie and talking to a lot of
yeah,
fans that would love to, you know, if we could, would be out there at a convention with them and doing the same thing. But it's nice that we could share this, just because
yeah.
it's
It's
a
cool.
crazy
I think it's
time.
cool.
So we're
It is a
yeah.
crazy time, and the cool thing is like the fact that we can connect like this,
Yes.
and that there is the ability to do this kind of thing. That to me is super cool. Like I'm genuinely like, this is cool to me. I get to spend some time with you, hang out, get to hang out with the fans that are on, and it's kind of showing us like what the future looks like. It's some version of this basically. So I'm
Yeah.
happy to be here with you, hanging.
Yeah, no, me too. No, it's a real pleasure, because again, it's like, it would always be, anytime I get a chance to see you, it's sort of like, when we'd head to LA and your schedule would allow you to, you'd be in town, or would everybody would sort of be in town and we get a chance to visit together. It's like, because I know because even your daughter's heading towards an acting career, that she's doing some cool stuff right now. But this is
Yeah,
great because we sit and we watch Saturday Night Live, and everybody's doing skits from home, or we watch some of our favorite, late night comedians, and we're watching it all from home, or some of our, everything is from that. And it's not, for people that like a little introverted, it's not too bad,
Yeah.
or lucky enough to have
No,
that
it's pretty
work
good.
at home.
I'm like,
So,
hey, this is pretty good.
yeah.
Yeah, it was interesting. I was watching like late night television, and it was like basically looks similar to the format that I'm seeing right now.
Yep.
You had Corbin sitting there, and you had whoever the actor or was that he was interviewing, and it pretty much looked exactly like this. And I'm like, wow, this is what late night television looks like now.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's crazy. No, it's good. It's like, um, oh my God, I'm just looking at those. This was, oh man, I'm so bad at this. I should have read up on it a little bit more, but this actor we were excited to get this
Oh yeah,
guy
it
as
was
the
great.
original, because he was like one of those famous, like, probably had proper theater training and great English actor that had been
Yes.
in so many different TV shows and serials. That was like, and then, of course, the mysterious secret of the Ooze, which we just sort of made up completely as comic book,
Yeah,
science
that's
fiction.
cool.
Oh, look at that old computer! Oh my God, that's awesome.
So what
That's so
was
that.
the impetus for the ooze?
Well, the Ooze was one of those things that again, Peter and I growing up as fans of so many comic book heroes. That was the Hulk was sort of radiation based. The Fantastic Four were exposed to gamma rays, and Captain America was injected with different stuff, and had these. There's always these mysterious sort of instances, but they were never fully explained. It was always sort of comic book science. So when we came up
Right.
with the Ooze, it was just sort of like it's a mysterious ooze, and so because we
Yeah.
never thought it, we never thought it would go past the first issue anyway. So as we got into later issues, we ended up coming up with this whole backstory of it being alien based in origin, and so these Utroms that came, that's where the basis of Krang came from. These Utroms from outer space had crash landed on Earth, and they built these exoskeletons. So these little squishy headed aliens lived inside
Yeah.
the bodies of these things, and even I was like, and I forgot it was like there was an issue because in the original comic book we called it the TCRI, which is the Techno Cosmic Research Institute, and I think there was already something called that, so we had to change it in this movie to TGRI, so it was a techno something.
Mm.
Oh
So,
my God, it's a
yeah, it was
so
like
it,
one of the first Macs or something, right?
yeah. Oh my God, it's so great. I look at that and go like, because even when you look at like, because I love watching older movies anyway, especially like I have comfort films because when I'm writing or something like that, I have to have kind of silence and I need to focus. But if I'm just drawing, so it's just sort of I want something to keep me company. Here come the foot. Um, but I put in old movies like Blade Runner or Alien and stuff like that. Some of those just hold up so incredibly well. you know,
Yeah.
technologically, even Terminator, which is one of those movies that's like, um,
Yeah, that was really that's funny.
yeah,
I did a movie with Arnold when I was a kid, and one day when we got done filming, he came up to my dad and I was like handed us a VHS movie, and he was like, hey,
mm-hmm.
check this out, this is the movie I just did, and we went home that night and like popped it in at the hotel room, and like up came Terminator, and we were
No
watching. This
way,
was like about 6 months prior to it coming out, in the theater. But yeah, I was like blown away. I was like, well, how can I be in this movie?
dude. Yeah, because that was so groundbreaking, and actually just as I was watching this fight sequence work behind us, because look, when I was a kid growing up in New England, once cable TV came into view, they would have a couple of cable TV channels out of Boston. One weekend they'd run those awesome, legendary, monster movies, Godzilla and Mothra and Gamera and all that stuff. But then the other weekends they would run martial arts theater, so they'd run like three back to back, at the time badly dubbed martial arts movies. So that was my exposure to early martial arts, and they were just so fantastic. I would literally sit 3 feet away from the TV and look at
Yeah.
these and study, every move. And you just look at even, some of these. Well, this is a sillier version of it, but some of these sequences, like you said earlier, have to be incredibly detailed in their choreography to make sure nobody gets
Yeah.
hurt. And sometimes they would, but um, the abilities of these stunt people to do some of the spin kicks, not only whether you're in a foot costume or anything else, is like it's fantastic. So that when you see, it's funny, just what you're talking about with Terminator just made me think of a friend of mine had gotten a couple passes to see The Matrix when it first came out,
Mm.
and it was one of those. I knew who Wu Ping was thanks to VHS and some other, these amazing, Hong Kong based choreographers. But it's like Keanu Reeves and it's sort of sci-fi from two directors we
Yeah.
don't know, and then man, they just pulled it off. That's the thing that made the movie what it was. And well, you lived that. What was oh god, what was the film that you directed? Did you write and direct it? We went to one of the premieres of it.
Oh yeah, The Process.
The Process, yes. That was
Yeah,
outrageous.
yeah, that was a wild time. That was just kind of like I had this opportunity. I don't know when this was. This was probably mid 90s, 95, 4 in and around there, and it was probably a couple
Yep.
years, but yeah, it was kind of, I had an opportunity, and it was like $50,000 budget, and it was like, no, we need to go like right now. And I'm like, but there's no script, and it's like, all right, well, let's make it up as we go. And it was it was interesting. I had no idea, like that was probably about 25 years ago. At the time, it's like you're thinking one thing, and it's like you live all this life, and you're like, wow, I was amazing that we could even do anything. But things are so different. We were actually filming on actual short ends of 35 millimeter, so it was just like you do as much as you could in the take, and then it would just run out because you were only dealing with like 5-10 minutes at a time, stuff like that. But nowadays with digital, I mean, I can even see with my daughter and my son, just playing around, like, can make little movies. I mean, nowadays it's just so different. No film exposure and all of that stuff. But this is funny scene.
I
This
love
was
this.
a
And I was
real
just thinking, like,
memorable
that's crazy. And
moment
then I
for
was just
me.
thinking about the, like you're saying with the Process. Oh, there you go. You passed that.
Yeah.
No, I just loved, with a lot of the Process stuff. It was it just seemed like one long action sequence that was fantastic.
Yeah.
This is great. Look at this. This is a great moment with you and Splinter.
This was like one of the most the memories of filming. This scene in particular really sticks out with me
Yeah,
because it was like, wow, I was in the summer before, I was in the costume, and now we're kind of doing the origin of the turtles, and Splinter's explaining to me, how this all had come about, and I just remember being in the scene going, this is really crazy. Like, I've got Splinter talking to me, and what was going on in the scene was kind of the same thing where I just couldn't believe it. But it was really what was kind of happening for me, because I was like, wow, we just did this movie. It came out and it was like a super blockbuster. And here we are the following summer filming the sequel. I mean, that normally it takes a year just to develop it. We were already like in production, like within the 12 months from the time the movie came out, we were filming again. And so it was a moment for me. It was like, wow, it was kind of one of those pinch me moments, like, this is happening, and so it all worked for the scene as well.
no, it was actually pretty fantastic. I mean, it was amazing to us because, of course, we were going through it, and all of us in real time. But it was one of those that, like, I think there were people that when the first movie came out, they were just like, you know, we never thought that the first movie would work. We never thought the first comic would work. We never thought the first cartoon show would work. We never thought the first movie would work. And when it did, I think that everybody else thought the same thing. It's like, we should do a second one right away before everybody, hates
Changes
it,
their mind.
changes their mind. And so, no, it was fantastic. It was it was very quick. Things were moving very quick at that time period. But
Because I
yeah,
remember
it's funny.
Go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
No, I was just
No, I was just
saying that
saying
I
that
remember the
we had a
premiere.
person come up here, and Sandra said, "I remember watching the Secret of the Ooze movies, just the best thing ever. My life and nostalgic memories." And but it's just leading. This was one of those that I think so many people love the first, but there's a substantially higher number of people that sort of, because the second movie to me gravitated a bit more towards the cartoon series. So the second movie was more of a really fun, cool live action version of the cartoon show. So a lot of people really went like, and I've signed a lot of them over the years, and I bet you have as well. Those
Yeah.
VHSs.
Oh yeah, it's amazing. Um, I remember when we had the premiere for Ninja Turtles 2 was up at the Universal City Walk, Universal Studios, and this was like City Walk. There was no City Walk. It was just the movie theaters, out there, and the parking garage and
Yeah.
the movie theater. But I mean, talk about the biggest. It had all. It was a cineplex. It was a 18-plex, and all the theaters were playing Ninja Turtles that
Yep.
afternoon, and so it was really, really wild. I mean, you had every big movie star in the world and their kids there. I mean, it was unbelievable.
No, that's what one of my fondest memories, and is with the first movie was meeting Robin Williams, who I adored and loved as a comedian, but he was there with all of his kids, and it was just sort of. But he was a comic book guy from the beginning, anyway. But you're right. The second movie premiere, it was a whole different level. Any actor or any producer or anybody in Hollywood that had kids, they were there for the
They were
second
there.
premiere,
Yeah,
for the
that was
pizza party
incredible.
afterwards, and
Yeah, that was incredible.
yeah.
It's like, hey, there's
Uh,
Danny DeVito and Steven Spielberg and I mean, it was just
yeah.
really incredible.
Yeah. Okay, we just got looking. We got a question from Kevin Taylor. This might be the most quote-worthy movie I can honestly think of. Was there uh, any improv with the lines? Um, I don't know. I think see for us, because Michael Pressman was the director, so we worked with a different kind of director from Steve Barron with the first movie. But I know that the script was originally written much edgier and intended sort of more like a bit more edgier, kind of like the first movie, a bit more of a blend. So this was sort of done a lot more light-hearted. But I think, yeah, we'll get to some of the lines that I think are pretty funny. Did you have any improvisation with your lines, or you just sort of like whatever
No,
they sort of?
I was pretty much sticking to the script. Yeah. I mean, but I
Yeah,
do
cool.
remember reading it for the first time, and I had no idea. They told me like, "Hey, we're gonna, So I had an idea, but then I read the script, and I'm like, at the end of it, I was like, "Hey, man, I'm actually in this a lot."
Awesome.
I mean, it was this is a really just over all the years that I've been in show business, and I really look at it and think about it, it's just like this moment in time. It's like that'll always stay with me no matter what happens and like where we go. It's just like such just like a clear vision of like what that moment in time was. And everybody,
That's
a
cool.
lot of the people that I meet, I mean, this really for them identifies their child. They really identify their childhood with these movies, like for seriously, and now these people are parents and have kids, And then I still hear like, you have no idea, man. Those movies were like my whole childhood.
Yeah,
Looks like I'm
that's
getting a
what's so
marriage proposition.
such an. Oh, are you? Oh, somebody, yeah, somebody. Did you see these questions? Will you marry me? Oh, that's so awesome. No, but it's funny because that's one of the coolest parts that because Courtney and I, over the last 6 7 years, we do 15 20 shows a year, and is that the director? Is that Pressman? I think the guy that played
Oh yeah, that was
that was him. He
in
was a
the
little
newsroom.
cameo.
Yep,
That's
there
right.
it is.
Yeah.
And
But it
that's
was that.
Casso, Mark Casso as well.
Who's that one?
The guy right there behind him, he
Yeah.
was the Leonardo.
Oh,
He did some of the
that's cool.
stunts as Leonardo.
That's great when they. I love when they did that. But uh, but the no, that's one of the things that I adore hearing is that people that these movies were their childhood. It's like they wore the turtle Halloween costume for 3 years in a row, or they you know it meant so much to them, and they sort of got them through some tough times and got them through some good times. But it was the one they bring a toy up that they kept from say movie two, and because you actually had a toy made, there was Kino action figures. You
Yeah,
still have any of those?
I don't think I do have some. I might have to go searching for those today, but no, they might be somewhere. I'm sure that they're in a box somewhere.
Yeah.
Hey, so what is that? So this is a good question. It says,
Yeah.
"Hi Kevin, hi Ernie. I wonder why Casey wasn't in this film. Was that a choice that they talked to you about, or how'd that work?"
Well, it was definitely was a discussion because we had a couple things that we wanted to change in this film. Like I was just going to point out what I loved about this second film was like the new layer that they had, which was like kind of this. They parked an old time subway car and then sort of closed it off, so it was sort of capturing time. So they had the new layer. We talked about developing new bad guys, mutant bad guys, and originally we wanted to do Bebop and Rocksteady, but it was suggested like, well, why don't you develop more characters within the bad guy universe of the Turtles? So we came up with Toko and Razor that Peter and I designed, and they took a slide to the cartoon side, kind of Bebop and Rocksteady side. But with Casey, it was one of those that I think the foundation and the structure that had been set up with Judith Hogue and Elias Koteas in the first movie,
All right.
that bring in a new actress to play. So I think they felt like let's stay away from Casey, and I think Elias Koteas, who it's funny, I would bump into him around LA in the weirdest places. Look at these guys. They're
Yeah.
babies. No,
Yeah, that's great.
but I would run to like Elias Koteas at like a coffee shop or the gym I worked out in. I worked out in LA. First time I went in there, I see Elias running on the treadmill. And like, oh my God, there's Casey Jones, and so he
Yeah.
was just the greatest person. So I think he was always one of those actors that wanted to keep progressing roles. So I think he thought going back to a film
Yeah.
might not be
That was
what he
kind of
was.
the cool thing too. Just like I remembering from the first movie, one of the things that stuck out to me was, wow, like these guys are good. I mean, these are good actors here. This is not just like, and that
Yeah,
really, that I remember that clearly, like set the tone. Just like seeing Casey Jones and whatever, and it was like, hey, this guy's kind of like a young Robert De Niro. I mean, that's what it felt like to me, and I'm like, this guy is like a real actor. And that made it just, I don't know, I think that was really awesome, playing off of the Turtles and all of that fantasy to have actors that were really just solid. And this guy did great too, as you mentioned.
yeah, he was great. No, and I think that's what that was one of the cool things that Steve Barron brought to bear, that he was so well respected as a music video director, from whether it be Michael Jackson's Billie Jean to the Dire Straits Money for Nothing, that he also worked with Henson, that he had reputation of doing quality, innovative stuff. So I think he was definitely an attraction to.
So you know who Michael Jai White is? That guy in the background, that's the big guy
Yeah,
with the red T-shirt.
he's
That's
great.
the guy who plays Spawn.
Yeah, he's a great actor. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, he
Well, it's
was
like
in
we
Dark
always.
Knight as well.
Yeah, no, that's like Sam Rockwell.
Yeah,
Yeah, Sam
right.
Rockwell was like one of his early speaking roles. I mean, I'm not 100% sure, but I think one of his early roles. This is a great scene. Look at you guys. This is great.
Yeah, this was cool. This was one of those scenes that we got to do in New York again, and I was like, this was cool, man. This was like, I remember this scene. It's a great scene too.
I think that was the same voice of Raphael from the first movie to the second movie in this one too.
Yeah,
Yeah, because it's got that he's got that great sort of Joe Pesci
New
sort
York.
of New
Yeah,
York. But no, that must have, like you said, it must have been fun when you didn't have to shoot on. Again, that's the part of acting. It's like you weren't filming on set in South Carolina pretending it's New York. You were actually in New York. This is great. You
yeah.
get to, you get to do a lot of martial arts in this.
I mean, yeah, it was. This was. These were pretty extensive fight scenes. So the interior we shot was in Wilmington, and the exterior was in New York.
That's awesome. And I think that's like people often ask me like if I had a vision that I'd like to see where the say a future TMNT project would go, especially in the live action thing, it would be something that paid respect to this kind of detail in the martial arts, because it was, it's like we grew up with that, love and appreciation for Bruce Lee's, and later on, Jet Li's, but Sammo Hung and there's countless other actors that just sort of pioneered this. But I think that is really the root of to tell a true story like this. It's like this is great.
Yeah.
That's a good scene.
Again,
it's funny because I wasn't until.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, look at that hairdo. I love it.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I was just going to say that I remember seeing, this was one of those sets again from the first to second movie.
Mm-hmm.
I saw the junkyard. I was like, this was on a set. That's what's so amazing about it. This exterior of this junkyard is on a set, which is incredible. But I remember seeing it, and I was like, this is cool. And the sets have gotten bigger. Like, this was one of those set pieces that were like, this was cool.
Yeah, no, you're right, because it's like comparing exactly the the original sewer layer, which was this one tiny little layer with a couch and all this different stuff. They did all those scenes in that one room that April wakes up on the couch to the section of sewer pipe where they staged a bunch of different fights, and they just shot it from different angles and stuff. And but yeah, in this one they had the big huge sewer set. And was this in Wilmington too?
Yeah, this was in Wilmington too. Yeah, you can't even tell the interior right now.
This is interior?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
Yeah. That's all interior on the set.
That's amazing. I would have guessed 1,000,000 to 1 it was a fully outdoor exterior set.
You can see even the lighting in the back where it's look really hot. That's all just lights.
Wow.
All this stuff.
Man, it is still amazing to say watching.
Yeah.
Oh. Big Farsi's back. That's a long run back
Oh
to New
yeah,
York. That's great. That's exterior.
yeah. That that
No,
that bridge. That was. I remember that too. Hey, bro, it's me, Kino. Oh,
that's great. I do like this. This is actually one of those funny, completely non-ninja moments. Like,
yeah.
but a little too quiet.
yeah.
No, I was going to say that. Yeah, again, if there was ever an opportunity to do something progressive in the turtle universe, certainly for live action adventure, I would definitely go lean towards the like the Daredevil Netflix series, that kind of thing, because
Yeah.
it would take it into a darker place where they really paid serious attention to the martial arts
Yeah.
history and some of the choreography, which would be fantastic.
I
Which
love that idea.
and which as you mentioned earlier, is like so many of our fans that were 7, 8 years old when this movie first came out. They're now in their late 20s, early 30s, sometimes mid 30s, and that's the kind of you know TV or movies and entertainment they like, video games and that kind of stuff with a bit
Mm,
more of an edge to it. So I think it is really a much bigger audience than I think maybe um, Viacom realizes. So I think it'd be great.
yeah. Yep. I agree. Well, and the whole that's the great thing I feel like about the turtles. The whole thing is as kind of zany as it all is. It still like holds up even today. There's just so many iterations of what it could be. It could go this direction. It could go that direction. It could be, more edgy. It could be. I mean, there's just so many ways that it can go. That's what. And I feel like there's a lot of things that probably haven't. I'm sure you know better than anyone that there's probably things that we haven't seen in the turtle universe that could be pulled out to make it still something new and fresh like we haven't seen before.
Yeah, no, that's what's been so fantastic. Is like say like somebody like me that grew up a fan of Batman. I remember my first exposure to Batman was, besides some of the comic books, was the cartoon series in the '60s, and we've seen Batman sort of evolve and change and adapt to so many different ways. And the Turtles are the same way in the fact that Tom Waltz and I, who we worked on the last 100 issues of the IDW Turtles comic, we're doing a new series based on an original idea that Pete and I had called The Last Ronin. So we're adapting it. It's going to be a bit more.
Yeah.
Come on. And no, so we're working on a version that's written specifically for that older audience,
That's
the
cool.
original 35-year-olds that love the original comic book. So it's going to be edgier and darker and that kind
That's
of stuff.
great.
But I'm just immediately taken absorbed by this fight scene. Like,
Yeah.
put his tape back on.
Yeah.
Right. Did you ever? Because Vanilla Ice has a big moment coming up here. Have you ever met him? Have you ever met Vanilla Ice?
Yeah.
Rob?
Well, from when we worked on the movie, and then more recently, I
Yeah.
happened to be, I don't know where it was, somewhere I believe in Texas, maybe. And he happened to be doing a show, like a 90s
Hmm.
kind of, I love the 90s type thing. And one of my friends had called me, and so I went down there and watched them perform and said what's up to him after the show. It was a trip too, just to see him. Because I hadn't seen him for however long it's been, 30 years, and that
Yeah.
was at the height of Vanilla Ice,
Yeah.
when we were doing the movie. Uh, so it was a trip because, I saw him and I was like, man, that was a time warp. But yeah,
Sure. No, it is
he
funny because
was
no, we never met him. We've after all these years, we never met him. And it's like, but it was one of those things. That my favorite part of the nostalgia part of this movie as it relates to him is the Kraft macaroni and cheese
yeah,
Go Ninja Go commercials, which are fantastic. They're pretty
yeah,
fantastic. It was like, it's really, he was open to being poke a little fun at himself and turtles in general, which is great. It's like,
yeah. That's cool.
uh, that's cool. I met the whole cast of the TMNT '87 series. They were lovely. Just reading some of the comments from the fans and watching. We were appreciated by you guys. Again, guys, thanks for joining us today. This is I couldn't think of a better way to spend Friday. And actually, Courtney snuck me over a bit of pizza earlier, and it's got
Yeah.
jalapenos.
Make sure you
So I'm
tell
sneaking a few bites in.
make sure you tell Courtney I said what's up.
Mm-hmm. Yep, we do. I think the last time we get to hang out was oh, there she is.
I'm hanging.
Hi,
I'm
hi,
I'm
beautiful
helping make
wife.
sure that
Yeah, what's up, Court?
She's
Yeah,
drinking the wine. Cheers.
I
cheers.
love it.
Yes, we love you,
I
Ernie.
love it.
I'm
No way,
hanging out
this is
in
a
the
great Friday
background.
night.
Awesome. All right,
That's
I'll let
cool.
you
Yeah.
two get back to it.
No, it's funny because we're very lucky. Courtney and I work together, so we're together pretty much 24/7 anyway. Whether it be, even pre, current world situation, we travel together, do the shows, and see so many wonderful things. And I know you're doing the same thing right now, hunker down with your family in LA, and it's a neat sort of, you know, there's worries and concerns and things that we stress about, but it's like one of them isn't we have to travel and leave our family, then so we get to spend some time we wouldn't normally have because I mean, goodness, Shane is now 13, going on 14 this year, and
Amazing.
he's adapted to the homeschooling and just it's there's some great moments as hard as it is, and we feel for so many of our fans that this is why we're doing stuff like this. And again, so thrilled that you could join us because it's like some of our fans and friends just you know are struggling and having a tough time. So if they can spend an afternoon with us and just chill and watch a scene like this and go, this is awesome, and
Yeah.
hear us tell stupid stories, and if it brings a smile to their face, then
No, I
this is why we're
agree.
here, you guys.
Yeah, it's been kind of wild. Like you said, we spend a lot of times, at home and together anyways, but this
Yeah,
definitely has taken it up a notch. And there has been some
yeah,
good things, that's come out of it. Definitely from a family perspective, it's like, when would you ever, be able to spend that amount of time with each other, months on
yeah,
end, where you're all, and I'll have to say that there's been a lot of, even though, like you said, there's a lot of worry, there's a lot of concern, there's a lot of things that you have to struggle, with, but like, there's been a lot of good things that have come out of it, just from being close with the family, having to kind of bond together and go through something, you know, you're like, wow, that something's happening, but you're all staying together and staying strong, kind of going through that
yeah,
whole process.
yeah,
It's
yeah. And I think even as you said from the word go, it's like we're lucky that we can do this kind of these kind of events and reach out to our extended family, which is the fans and the people who have given us these wonderful lives and this great career and the things to do what we've been able to do. It's like so we could do something like this and reach out, to that kind of extended family, which is really great.
yeah,
But it's
yes,
it's because it's like with Shane, we only have the one child, and we know we were he's doing baseball, and he's doing soccer, and he's doing this stuff. So we were Courtney and I were Mr. and Mrs. Uber, and we're running here and there
yeah,
in school and after school and programs, and you grab a dinner together and you try to catch up on your day, and then suddenly it's 9:30 and it's like off to bed, and but it's
yeah,
so yeah, there's mixed blessings amongst the madness. So,
yeah.
yeah. Let me see. David Henderson, Ernie, what was your favorite line from part two? both as Kino and as a fan. Do you have a favorite? Do you think it's going back only 30,
Yeah.
35 years, Ernie?
Yeah. I don't know. Uh, the one that everyone seems to remember is when I pull up on the scooter and I kind of asked the girl like, "Hey, which one of you lucky ladies gets a ride with me tonight?" And she's like, "Dream on, Dweeb," and I'm like, "Okay, well, when I do, I'll dream of something a little thinner." And
Oh,
I don't know how everybody feels about that, but that's kind of a memorable moment in the movie for me. But there were so many funny lines. I think there were some funny ones with Michelangelo in the beginning. When they were doing the fight scene downstairs in the little toy store, and he was chucking with the Polish sausages, and yeah, there's a lot
yeah,
of
that seemed like,
memorable liners though.
no, it's funny is that was one of the things, like, sausage chucks or whatever he was doing with that
Yeah,
was just kind of funny because it made me think of like something you'd see, like some Jackie Chan doing a drunken master thing or something where they're improvising using the most bizarre things as weapons, which I thought was clever. Like, had to be back in Wilmington.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, it was funny. It's like the first time I went down to Wilmington, they started shooting night scenes right away on movie one, and I thought the set down there was just fantastic because it was, I think it was built originally for Mickey Rourke's Year of the Dragon, then it was Turtles, and then I think they actually shot The Crow down there later with but it was, in the most weirdest locations. You sort of like walk through the back lot, suddenly you come around this corner and there's New York City as we've seen it, and I thought it played out pretty well.
So do
Oh,
we
somebody
have
met us.
any? Huh?
Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say we have no real idea when these cons or anything's gonna ever open back up at this point, right?
No, it's sort of, and it's there's it's funny because we talk about it as online and friends and family and just different stuff we're doing, and it is sort of until we really, everything seems to end up with that big sort of question mark of like, until we can do it safely, to protect ourselves and our family as well as our friends and family and everybody out there, and that's a worry because it is, we're used to giving people hugs at shows and shaking hands and taking
Big time.
taking photographs, the photo sessions and stuff like that. That's the fun stuff that's
Yeah.
part of that. But it is it's frustrating to us because we want to be out with you guys as well, and we just
And this is
we don't
the
want you to
year,
any.
right? This is the 30th year anniversary, so
Yeah,
kind of a strange time to not be able to get out with it. I know that somebody had said that they had met us at Bell County Comic Con. I know that
Yep.
was coming up pretty soon in the next couple of months. Oh, Johnny
Yep.
Huang, and everything's just on hold at this point.
Yep. Yep. That's a great question. Did you see that one, Thaddeus? The scene where you kicked the ooze canister out of Shredder's hand, was that hard to pull
no,
off, or
only
did
one.
you do it multiple takes? Just lie. You say like, no, I'm a
only
pro.
one
One
take.
take. It was
One
like,
take, Jake.
no.
I do remember that though. Too. That was another one of those moments where it was like, okay, like I'm there. I flip up onto the stage. I kick the ooze out of Shredder's hand, and I'm like, hey, this is really happening right now. It's like one of those moments.
That's awesome.
I remember being in the club filming that fight scene too.
Yep. That was in Wilmington too, if I remember.
Yeah, I ordered the Hawaiian with jalapenos.
And some garlic fingers and dips. Awesome.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? I see that I'm running out of battery here, so I might disappear.
Well,
I hate to
listen.
do that. I didn't know that it was going to drain that much, but
Well, it was great. We just, I was going to try to steal like 15, 20 minutes. I'm so glad you get to hang out for pretty much most of the movie. And of course, it's a real treat seeing you. And we love you. We miss you. We send huge hugs to your whole family. And man, soon.
thank you.
All right.
Yeah, I love you too. I love you guys, and I can't wait to see you guys in person sometime in the near future.
Can't wait, Ernie. Be safe.
Take care. We'll talk to you
Cheers.
soon. Bye, love. Take care.
Yeah.
All right, I'll leave you to it.
Awesome. Well, that was fun. What a great, because it's always a treat that, like I say, Courtney and I have done shows all over the country, and we've done a bunch of them with Ernie, and he's always like, we love hanging out with the fans and doing the day at the convention and enjoying all those great moments. But it's like when we get a chance to, go have dinner and just visit and talk about goofy life stuff, whether it's issues with our kids or, family or just, just different ideas and brainstorm about maybe creative stuff we could do together. That's a huge treat for us as well. So that was great. So thanks again, Ernie. Thanks for joining us. And I know you fans enjoyed that as much as we did. So cheers. So. Oh yeah. No. Oh, cool. No, that's good. It's funny. I always have this thing. It's like when we did the first time we did one of these voiceover things, sort of audio commentary in front of a live audience, or even we did the 30th, March 30th, when we did the celebration, watch TMNT with me for the first movie. It's like I suddenly I'm talking, then suddenly it's like watching the movie and going like, oh yeah, this scene was so good, and I forget. Oh, Jamie Allen, this was fantastic. Oh, thanks, you guys. We really appreciate it. Rebecca, thanks. No, we appreciate, again, you all joining us. I know for many of us, summer is right around the corner, and we're sort of getting a little antsy. And I know we all want to get back out there and do the things we're doing. So on a Friday night, we do appreciate us all sort of hunkering down and getting to hang out together. So it means a lot to us. My God, is that a Bart Simpson glass? That's awesome. I never noticed that before. Anybody else see that? He was such a great actor. It's like, you got to have somebody that's going to do the straight man. It's certainly having a theatrical quality British actor to sort of pull off the right on my man line. So. Man, I'd love to have one of those costumes in the house. We've seen some people that made some really great revised versions of those costumes, but those original ones were really the bomb. Oh my God, I'm just remembering what's going on in this scene. I think they have to get one of the either Toko or Reza has to eat a donut. It's pretty funny, actually.
Can't hear the movie very well, but
Oh,
we'll look it up. I think people are happy to hear you.
yeah, that's what I was. It's funny because when I was talking about that earlier, I was always feel terrible about talking over the movie, especially if they want to know what's the movie.
Put the earbuds back in,
Mhm.
and then you can just watch the questions and stuff.
Okay. Well, I'm fine with it if you are, because I think we're down to the last 20 minutes. I think. So as long as nobody's complaining, then if they're saying, "Kevin, shut up," it's like the Thunderdome turtle style. They're just thinking like, speaking of wearing the turtle costumes, I can't imagine wearing the Toko and Razor costumes. No, it is totally the a great live action version of one of the cartoons. I don't think anyone else had that caused this. Oh, thanks, Brian. That's a really nice thing. It's funny. I actually, I appreciate that because it is one of those, after all these years that, as old as these movies are, I always thought that it'd be fun to do one of those retrospective, you know, um, collector's editions where maybe there's some behind the scenes and some director commentary because, Steve Barron, certainly for the first movie, has such a visionary. It would have been great to oh, they found the. It's like our cat when we try to give our cat a medicine, they find it in the middle of. But here's Steve Barron's commentary on the first movie and things like that have been a real treat. And Brian Henson and people that worked on it. So, it's funny. I keep hearing the music in the background. And it makes me sound like it's like an old Robin Hood. The music definitely sounds like an old Robin Hood serial or Errol Flynn movie or something. Oh, thanks, Adam. Kevin, there was cameos you made in the movie, action figures. I'd love it if they would do a action figure of Pete and I, especially if they made it Pete and I from 25 years ago. Probably Pete and I, Peter Laird and Kevin Eastman action figures right now would have been more like Vern from the original cartoon series. Oh, there he is. Vanilla Ice. Ada, Kevin will be a new TMNT project on Netflix. I don't know. I'd love that. We've talked to after Nickelodeon put out the Batman versus the Turtles, or Turtles versus Batman, and they were working on some other stuff that I'd love to see. Especially, my fantasy project, of course, is the Daredevil style, edgier live action version of the Turtles, which would be great. And that would be having that on Netflix would be fantastic. So we go. There you're right, Andrew. Ninja Rap time. We should definitely play the macaroni and cheese commercial at the end of this. Peyton, you little Dickens. Were you an extra in the background dancer for Ninja Rap? No, I couldn't dance then, and I still can't dance now. But I appreciate you asking. But that's probably what I sort of had a cameo that was not really a cameo in the first movie and stuff. But yeah, I would definitely have been in the background in one of these. I always wanted to be a foot soldier, kind of like a stormtrooper, a foot soldier. There we go. Oh, Toka, that's great. I signed my box of TMNT Craft macarons. That's awesome. I hear he's super nice. He loves his fans, especially his turtle fans. I know that we've had friends that have worn turtle costumes in some of his traveling stage shows and some of his special events, and they say that he's just super nice with his fans, and that's great to hear because we do love you guys. Thank you, Wesley, for the question. Last one. No, we've been working hard on it. It's just Tom and I, when we sort of built the project based on so many original concepts that Peter and I did back in 1987. The project's going to be very large, 200 pages, 548-page book. So we're really spending a lot of time to make it like as epic as we can. So it's been a lot of juggling, and there's been some disruptions in comic book distribution and stuff. But we're working hard on it. I was actually on the phone all afternoon with Tom today, going over some stuff with some of the later issues. But it's great. Ernie did such a great job in this movie. It's like, and I can see why. It's like, so many of the fans, it's some of their favorites, and again, I mentioned that Courtney and I have done a bunch of events with Ernie, and I've done signings with Ernie, and the fans just love him for so many reasons. But this is one of their, of many things, but this is one of their favorites that he did such a great job. Oh, here they go. Oh no, it's Biz and Buzz. I think it should be like, maybe have to go up this way. Biz and Buzz. The next big stars. They're gonna have a. Oh. Available on EastonStudios.com. I'm kidding. Oh man, I'd love a full size Choco Razor costume. Look, how classic is that time period where you see like the little ponytails? This was shot in 1990. So this was probably shot in 1990. Came out in 1991. So that gives you your time frame for the clothing. That is amazing. Look at the, well, dancing alone, they dance better than I do, even without an 80-pound costume. But I still love the talent in these guys. I like, this guy always waits until the last minute. Tatsu. Uh-oh. I know what they're going to do. Oh. That'll get you every time. I wonder if the guy that played the scientist in them, so I should look up his name. But David, I think David something, but wonder what he was doing in this movie by the time he got to shooting this scene. Yeah, you're right, Bill James. It was a great product of its time, and it's like, and yeah, there was like even the dancing. Same thing. It was like, there's so many forms of martial arts. Kali and some forms of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and other things are very much like dancing and martial arts at the same time. Oh, that's great, Timothy. I love that. That's just one of the favorite things that he's back. No, I love it when fans show up at different events and signings, and they bring those pictures of them in either in a costume or something that parents took when they were kids, or a Ninja Turtle themed birthday party. Just always makes my heart happy. Fantastic. Diego, thanks, Diego. Yeah, there was you asked why the Outram subplot was cut from this movie. There was a lot of things that were cut from this movie because it was made totally very different from the way it was originally written. It was, again, written a bit more edgier, and I think that the Utrons and Krang, which sort of was more tied into, there you go, Ernie, look at that, that was fantastic, was tied into the Bebop and Rocksteady origins and leading to the idea of a third movie that would have been more of an outer space adventure, sort of taking it where we did in the early comic books, but it just didn't happen. So they sort of wanted to keep it more grounded, I'll say, to use the term, I guess, loosely. Oh. Oh, thanks. The old Spinal Tap trick. Turn it up to 11. Oh. Just looking at the question. When is the first issue of Last Ronin being released? We were originally hoping for July. We were sort of scheduling around the way the comic book distribution was going. Well, where that's been disrupted, I think it's been disrupted. I think it's going to be pushed more towards probably August. Just once we get everything back on track for all things distribution and comic market, and let's let the whole world get back on the right, not in the right track, but just back in tune and back on track as best we can. So Hey, Mateo, thanks. Greetings from Italy. Thank you. Hope everybody's there. And Italy, the birthplace of the turtle's name. Uh-oh. Here comes Kevin Nash. You guys remember this? Oh, yeah. Wrestler Kevin Nash was brought on board to do the Super Shredder sequence. Thank you, Brendan. I appreciate it. You guys are awesome. I say that we have the greatest job ever because we have the greatest fans ever. So I can't believe we get to sit here on a Friday and hang out with y'all and watch this movie. Sandra, yeah, I think we were so surprised and so thrilled that when we did the watch TMNT with me for the movie one, that we would so excited to do this one, watch TMNT with me for movie two. That I think maybe next month we'll do movie three, and then there's some other stuff out there. But as long as you guys are enjoying it as much as we're enjoying it, then we'd love to come hang out with you any Friday to watch old turtle movies and reminisce and talk about these crazy events from 30. Who did? Oh, no way. Hey, Tom. Tom, it's like, no, people have been asking questions about The Last Ronin. Oh, my goodness, yes. No, Courtney was just saying she's definitely right. Tom and I spent most of the afternoon on the phone going over different later sections we're developing, and we're tuning in and fix not well. We're working on the last part of The Last Ronin because we're having way too much fun in this series. But Tom Walsh just joined this viewing, but we're going to do a special Last Ronin with Tom, and both Tom and I get on hand, and we'll show you some behind the scenes and talk about some of that stuff. Which is great. So this is great. At the end of the day, they are. Wait. Yeah, that's it. That's the line. Yeah. Like a bad ending to a good John Carpenter movie, or no? Wait. Yeah, Tom. Yeah, it was only a 3-hour phone call. Short one for us. I miss you already. I miss you too, buddy. That's great. Oh, it was good stuff. I can't wait for you guys to see that. So, aw. Idiots. That's classic. Boy. Classic ending. Got to go home and face dad at the end of the day. I love that set though. It's like I always imagine like that whole subway car and all the thing. I'd love a studio that looked like that. That'd be fantastic. Ryan, thanks everybody. Oh my goodness, thank you, Ryan. No, I've spent 36 years with the Turtles being Ninja Rap is born. Oh my god, 36 years with the Turtles, a huge part of my life, and I loved every minute of it. I still love every minute of it. Before I got on hanging out with you guys, I was drawing Ninja Turtles before talking with Tom Waltz about future Ninja Turtles, and now we're talking about Ninja Turtles. So, but no, we love. I love my turtles, and I love that you guys love our turtles. So this is great. There we go. There's our cast: Michael, Leaf, Ken, Mark. Thank you. This was so much fun. Hey guys, just want to say thank you so much for joining us. This is, I had an absolute blast, and I want to thank Ernie again for joining us. He's the best, and we love spending any time we can with him. We want you to, remember that it's it's a bit tough out there right now, but we're all doing the best we can, and we're just hunkering down. And we're glad that we get to spend these moments together. Most of all, we send our love and our prayers and our thoughts, and we want you to be happy and thank for your love and support of the Turtles. And we can't wait to see you next time on here in the Turtle Lounge. So we'll see you soon.
Thank
Hopefully
you guys.
really soon. So happy Friday, happy Pizza Friday.
Woo-hoo. Bye.
Cowabunga!